As whispers spread throughout the world, the message from Pope Francis's final days has ignited an undeniable wave of curiosity. What did he foresee for the year 2025? What did he mean by the division of souls? It is no longer speculation. The signs are all around us, unfolding in front of our very eyes. People are beginning to see the cracks in society, the disintegration of unity, and the rapid rise of chaos. All of these point toward a monumental shift, the prophecy that was hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal its terrifying implications. The year 2025, as predicted by the Pope, is set to be the year when the world would face the consequences of the choices it has made. The separation of souls will not just be a spiritual occurrence, a defining moment that will shape the future of humanity. This isn't just about global politics, religious institutions, or economic crises. It's about the spiritual essence of human existence, the very core of what drives us. And it is these divisions, the ones that seem almost too subtle to notice, that are already beginning to manifest. Look around. In every corner of the globe, polarization is intensifying. We see nations divided, communities fractured, and ideologies clashing in ways that feel more pronounced than ever before. It's as if a storm is brewing beneath the surface, one that threatens to tear apart the social fabric we've built. The message Pope Francis left behind wasn't just a vague prediction. It was a call to action, a warning for those who have the eyes to see and the hearts to understand. And yet, how many of us are truly aware of the deeper forces at play? How many of us are truly in tune with the growing spiritual divide? The Pope's words speak to something much greater than the crises of our time. They speak to an awakening of the soul, an awakening that will force humanity to face the truth about itself. In the quiet moments before his passing, the Pope's final prophecy resonated with an intensity that few understood. He spoke of an event, a powerful, unexplainable force that would be triggered in 2025. According to him, this was not just another year in the endless cycle of time. It was the moment when the veil between the physical and the spiritual would thin dramatically. The clash between light and darkness, good and evil, would no longer remain invisible. It would become a battle for the very essence of who we are. And that battle, as much as it seemed unimaginable, had already begun. Consider the world we live in. The rapid technological advances that are meant to unite us are instead making us more disconnected. Social media, which was once a tool for connection, has become a battlefield for ideas and ideologies. People are more isolated than ever, not only physically but emotionally and spiritually. The divisions in the political sphere are more evident than ever. It's as if the world is standing on the edge of something immense and uncontrollable, something that will ultimately lead to a spiritual reckoning. This is the first sign, the rising tide of division that can no longer be ignored. As we continue down this path, we are confronted with the consequences of our choices. The forces of light and darkness are not mere metaphors. They are real, and they are drawing battle lines in the sands of time. Pope Francis warned that the choice between these two forces would come to a head in 2025, and the lines of this division would be clearly drawn. The events leading up to this moment, the struggles, the conflict, the darkness, are all part of a divine plan, one that will reveal the true state of our collective spirit. The message here is not one of fear, but one of awakening. The year 2025 marks a moment in which those who are aligned with light will stand firm, while those who choose the darkness will see their world crumble. But there is hope. As Pope Francis suggested, the year of the separation is also the year of awakening. It is a chance for humanity to realign itself, to rediscover its soul and purpose. This is the message of salvation that underpins the prophecy. But the question remains, will we be ready when the moment comes? For those who have chosen the path of light, the spiritual awakening is not something to fear. Instead, it is an opportunity for growth, understanding, and connection. It is a time to embrace the responsibility of spiritual leadership, to stand firm in the face of adversity, and to help guide those who may have lost their way. It is a time to remember that the power of light is not in domination, but in compassion and love. As we approach 2025, the signs will become clearer. Those who are attuned to the spiritual frequencies of the universe will begin to see the patterns unfolding. Whether it's in the collapse of old systems, the rise of new spiritual movements, or the personal awakenings that individuals will experience, the separation of souls will be undeniable. It will not be a physical event, but a spiritual one, a shift that will forever alter the course of human history. In the coming years, as this division becomes more apparent, it will be easy to fall into despair, to believe that the world is beyond saving. But Pope Francis's message reminds us that the division is not a curse, but a necessary step in our evolution. The coming years are not just about watching the world burn, but about witnessing the birth of something new, something more aligned with the light that has always been within us. The first signs of this shift are already here. People are questioning their beliefs, looking deeper into their hearts, and seeking more profound answers to life's biggest question. The awakening is happening, slowly but surely, in ways both subtle and overt. But it's not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that will unfold throughout 2025 and beyond. This is a call to action. To those who are listening, the time to prepare is now. The year 2025 is fast approaching, and with it comes the final opportunity to align yourself with the forces of light. For some, it will be a time of great challenge, a time of confronting the darkness within and without. But for those who rise to meet the challenge, the reward will be far greater than any suffering endured. Will you be among those who choose the light? Will you stand firm in the face of adversity? Or will you be swept away by the currents of darkness? The choice is yours to make. The clock is ticking, and the year of the separation is drawing near. Be ready. The divisions between light and darkness that Pope Francis prophesied are not as abstract as they once seemed. Over the past few years, we've seen the signs manifest in subtle ways, divisions that have been creeping into the hearts of individuals, communities, and nations. These divisions are not merely political or social in nature, they are spiritual. And as we approach 2025, these fractures will only become more pronounced, more tangible, and undeniable. If we look closely at the growing political and social unrest worldwide, we see the echoes of the Pope's prophecy coming to life. In recent years, political landscapes across the globe have become increasingly polarized, leading to greater friction between factions that once coexisted more harmoniously. Society has become more divided than ever before. In the West, the rise of populism and nationalism has caused a deepening divide, as people find themselves pitted against one another in ideological battles. What once seemed like a temporary storm has now turned into a growing tempest, threatening to tear the fabric of unity apart. But this division is not just political, it is spiritual. Pope Francis's warning about the year 2025 and the separation of souls is, in fact, pointing to something far deeper than the material conflicts that seem to dominate the news. As spiritual seekers, we must look beyond the surface, beyond the headlines, to the underlying spiritual currents that shape these movements. What we're witnessing is not just political change, it's a spiritual upheaval, a shifting of paradigms that has been building for centuries, culminating in a global reckoning that will take place in the near future. One of the most shocking elements of Pope Francis's prophecy is the way he describes this spiritual divide. He spoke of it as a separation of souls, but he did not clarify exactly what that meant. For years, many thought of it as a metaphor, a symbolic statement about the growing divide between good and evil, or between light and darkness. But as we look deeper into the state of the world today, it becomes clearer that this divide is becoming more and more literal. The choices individuals make on a spiritual level are now manifesting in concrete ways in the physical world. Whether it's the rise of extreme ideologies, the deepening of social inequality, or the erosion of collective values, the results of this spiritual divide are becoming impossible to ignore. Take, for example, the rising global interest in spirituality, especially among younger generations. While the world has become more secular, there has been a surge of interest in alternative spiritual practices. As many seek answers in a time of confusion and uncertainty, people are turning to practices like meditation, mindfulness, and energy healing, seeking to align themselves with higher forces and tap into spiritual truths. But, at the same time, we see a rise in the opposite direction, a retreat into materialism, consumerism, and secularism. This is the essence of the divide Pope Francis warned about, the choice between light and darkness, spiritual awakening and spiritual blindness. What's even more startling is how this division has infiltrated the most sacred of institutions, religion. Across many religious communities, including the Catholic Church itself, there is an unmistakable schism emerging. For some, religion has become a source of solace and enlightenment, while for others, it has become a tool for division and control. The Church, in its current state, seems to be caught between these two extremes. As Pope Francis' time on earth draws to a close, we see that his efforts to promote a message of unity, compassion, and love are met with resistance from those who are entrenched in power, greed, and the desire to control others. The Pope warned of this spiritual crisis in the Church, a crisis that mirrors the division happening globally. So, what does all of this mean for you, the individual? The division is not just happening on a global scale, it's happening within each and every one of us. The spiritual battle is personal, and it will manifest in the choices you make in the coming years. Do you choose to remain in the light, to embrace compassion, love, and understanding, or will you succumb to the darkness of fear, hatred, and division? This is the real test, and it's a test that will only become more pressing as we approach 2025. But there is hope. As the division grows, so does the possibility of awakening. Pope Francis's prophecy is not just about the inevitable divide, it's also about the opportunity to rise above it. The spiritual awakening that will occur in the wake of this division is the key to navigating the coming storm. Those who align themselves with light will be the ones who lead the way forward, just as the Pope predicted. They will be the ones who inspire others to look within and reconnect with their spiritual essence. This is the hope that lies in the prophecy, the hope that we can emerge from this dark time stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. The question, however, is whether we are ready. Are you prepared for the challenges that lie ahead? Are you prepared to stand firm in the face of spiritual and societal division and to lead others toward the light? The time to make that choice is now. And as we move closer to 2025, the stakes could not be higher. In the coming months, we will continue to witness the unfolding of this great divide. The signs will become more obvious, the tensions will rise, and the world will be forced to confront the choices it has made. But for those who are prepared, for those who are willing to stand in the light, the coming spiritual awakening will offer an opportunity to transcend the darkness and create a new world, a world based on love, compassion, and unity. The path is difficult, but it is one that leads to salvation. As we move forward, remember that the prophecy of 2025 is not just about the separation of souls. It is about the chance for humanity to reclaim its soul. And for those who choose the path of light, that journey will be one of great transformation, healing, and hope. The time to choose is now, and the clock is ticking. What will you choose? The division between light and darkness is becoming more apparent with each passing day. And yet, most of the world remains unaware of the spiritual battle that is currently unfolding. Pope Francis's prophecy about the year 2025 is not just a far-off prediction. It is an unfolding reality. It is a reality that is being shaped by every decision we make, every action we take, and every thought that crosses our minds. In this defining moment of human history, we are all being called to make a choice, to embrace the light or to succumb to the darkness. At first glance, it may seem like these divisions are just a part of the natural ebb and flow of human life, political upheaval, economic collapses, social unrest, but they are much deeper than that. These external manifestations are simply reflections of an internal spiritual divide that is taking place on a global scale. As the Pope foresaw, this division will not be limited to nations or political ideologies. It will be a division that cuts through the very soul of humanity. We are living in an age where technology has made us more connected than ever, yet we are also more isolated than we've ever been. The digital world offers us an illusion of connection, but in reality, it only deepens the gap between us. We have become so immersed in the virtual that we are losing touch with the real, with the spiritual essence of who we are. And it is in this disconnection that the seeds of darkness have been planted. It is in the endless scroll of social media, the 24-hour news cycle, and the constant bombardment of negative information that the forces of darkness find fertile ground. But it's not just technology that is contributing to this divide. There is also a deeper, more insidious force at work, a force that is being actively cultivated by those who seek to control and manipulate. The rise of authoritarianism, the erosion of democratic values, the manipulation of truth, and the exploitation of fear are all part of the same spiritual battle that Pope Francis warned us about. These forces are not just political or ideological, they are spiritual in nature, and they are aimed at tearing apart the very fabric of our collective humanity. What is truly alarming is how many people are unknowingly falling into the trap of these forces. Whether it's through apathy, fear, or ignorance, many are being led down a path that will only deepen the divide. The Pope's prophecy is clear. Those who choose to align themselves with the forces of light will rise above the turmoil. They will be the ones who lead the way toward healing, unity, and spiritual awakening. But for those who choose the darkness, the consequences will be dire. We are already witnessing the early stages of this division. People are choosing sides, not just in politics or social issues, but in their hearts and minds. The division is not just external, it is internal as well. The choices we make every day are contributing to the growing separation between light and darkness. Do we choose to act out of love, compassion, and empathy, or do we choose fear, hatred, and division? These are the questions that will define the coming years, and they are questions that each of us must answer for ourselves. As we approach 2025, the signs of this spiritual divide will become more pronounced. The world will become more polarized, and the tension will continue to build. The Pope's prophecy suggests that this divide will not be merely a spiritual event, but one that will manifest in tangible ways. We will see this division in the way we treat each other, in the choices we make as a society, and in the ways that we respond to the challenges ahead. But it is not too late to change the course of this journey. The choice to align ourselves with the light is still within our grasp. It's not about waiting for the world to change. It's about changing ourselves. The path ahead will not be easy. There will be moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. But in those moments, it is essential to remember that the forces of light are stronger than any darkness we may encounter. The spiritual awakening that is coming is not about escaping the darkness, but about overcoming it. It is about standing firm in the face of adversity and rising above the chaos that seeks to engulf us. The Pope's message is one of hope, of redemption, and of spiritual renewal. It is a message that calls us to remember who we truly are, to remember the light that resides within each of us. This is not a time for complacency. It is not a time for waiting and watching from the sidelines. It is a time for action, for choosing to stand in the light and to help others find their way as well. The Pope's prophecy is a call to awaken to the spiritual battle that is unfolding and to take part in the healing and transformation that is possible. The world may be divided, but we are not powerless. Each of us has the ability to make a difference, to choose the light, and to help guide others toward the truth. As we move closer to 2025, the signs will only become clearer. The choices we make will matter more than ever. The spiritual divide is real, and it is up to us to decide which side we will stand on. Will we choose the path of light, or will we be swept away by the tide of darkness? The time to decide is now, and the consequences of that decision will shape the future of humanity. The message from Pope Francis is not one of fear, but of empowerment. It is a reminder that we have the power to choose our path, and that path leads to spiritual awakening, healing, and unity. As we face the challenges of the coming years, let us remember that we are not alone. The light is within us, and together, we can overcome any obstacle that lies ahead. The journey may be difficult, but it is a journey worth taking, one that will lead us to a brighter, more unified future. As we stand on the precipice of 2025, a sense of foreboding grips the air. The events that the Pope warned of have begun to unravel before our very eyes, and the signs of the spiritual divide that he prophesied are now unmistakably present. Yet, what is happening in the world is not a mere political or social upheaval. It is a deep, spiritual battle that will shape the very future of humanity. The stakes have never been higher, and the urgency to choose sides, to choose light over darkness, has never been greater. The signs are all around us. The world is being pulled in two directions, as the forces of division and unity clash more fiercely than ever before. You don't need to look far to see it. The political chaos, the social unrest, the growing divide between nations, cultures, and individuals. These aren't just the result of poor leadership or failing systems. They are the external manifestations of a deeper spiritual crisis that is unfolding in the hearts and minds of people everywhere. It's a battle for the very soul of humanity, one that we are all a part of. What makes this spiritual battle so insidious is that it's not always obvious. It doesn't always look like a war or a fight in the traditional sense. Instead, it plays out in the small, everyday choices we make. It's in how we treat each other, how we respond to fear, how we react to the suffering around us. These choices, whether we act out of love or hatred, whether we choose to see the divine spark in others or reduce them to labels, are the battlegrounds where this spiritual war is being fought. In this moment, we must ask ourselves, where do we stand? Are we aligning ourselves with the forces of light, or are we being pulled into the darkness? Pope Francis, in his final prophecies, gave us a stark warning. The spiritual divide was not only coming, it was already here. The forces of darkness are not only out there in the world, but also within us, lurking in the corners of our hearts, tempting us to surrender to fear, selfishness, and hatred. The battle is not just about external events, it is about the battle within each of us, between light and darkness. This inner battle is where the real transformation will occur. The outer events, the political instability, the social unrest, are merely symptoms of the spiritual war that we are all fighting within. The true test is whether we can rise above these forces and align ourselves with the light. Can we love when hate surrounds us? Can we find peace in the midst of chaos? Can we hold on to our spiritual truth when the world tries to pull us into the darkness? These are the questions that each of us must answer for ourselves. But there is hope. The Pope's prophecy wasn't just a warning. It was a call to action. He foresaw a time when the world would be divided, but he also saw a time when those who chose the path of light would rise above the darkness and lead the way to spiritual awakening. This is our chance, our moment to make a choice that will not only change our lives, but the lives of those around us. This is a chance to align ourselves with the forces of good, to tap into the divine power that resides within us, and to help guide others toward the light. This isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. The Pope's message wasn't one of despair, but of hope. Hope that those who choose the light will overcome the darkness and create a world where love, compassion, and spiritual truth reign. It's a world where the forces of fear and division are replaced with unity, understanding, and peace. But this world will not be created by sitting idly by. It will be created by those who are willing to take a stand, to fight for what is right, and to be a beacon of light in the darkness. And this is where we find ourselves today. The signs of the spiritual divide are clear, but so is the path forward. We are called to choose the light, to align ourselves with the divine forces that will guide us through these challenging times. It won't be easy. The forces of darkness will try to pull us away, to distract us with fear and division, but we must remain steadfast. The path of light is not always the easiest path, but it is the path that will lead us to true transformation. As we move closer to 2025, the spiritual divide will only grow stronger. The world will continue to change, and we will be faced with more choices. Choices that will either lead us toward unity or further into division. But no matter what happens, we must remember this. We are not alone. The divine forces are with us, guiding us, empowering us, and as long as we remain aligned with the light, we can overcome anything that comes our way. The time to act is now. The prophecy is unfolding before us, and the question is not whether it will happen, but whether we are prepared for it. Are we ready to stand firm in the face of darkness and choose the path of light? The world may be divided, but we have the power to unite. We have the power to rise above the chaos and create a new world, a world where love, truth, and compassion reign. And together, we can make that world a reality. As we approach the final stages of this spiritual battle, let us remember that we are all part of something much bigger than ourselves. This is not just about our personal journey. It's about the collective journey of humanity. And the choices we make today will echo through the generation. The time to choose the light is now. The time to stand up for what is right is now. The time to create the world we want to see is now. And together, we will rise. The whisper of an ancient separation echoes across the fabric of our world, a soft but insistent sound growing louder with each passing day. Somewhere deep within, many feel it, the subtle unraveling of what once was and the silent weaving of what is to come. Pope Francis, in his quiet urgency, called the faithful to prepare not with fear, but with fierce love. To align with the light was not merely a hope, it was a necessity, a conscious act of choosing who we would become when the final curtain falls between light and darkness. But how does one prepare for a moment that seems both inevitable and invisible, pressing closer even when hidden from the eyes of the world? The journey begins not outside, but within, where the first battles are fought and the first victories are won. It starts with the soul's stillness. In a world of endless noise, meditation becomes more than a practice. It becomes survival. Each morning, before the clamor of duties and distractions claim the day, those seeking the light are called to sit with themselves, to listen not to the voices of the world, but to the deeper murmurs of their own spirit. Even 10 minutes of intentional silence, breathing in hope and exhaling fear, can forge a shield strong enough to deflect the coming storms. Mystics of old spoke of the cave of the heart, a sacred space untouched by corruption. Modern seekers must rediscover this hidden sanctuary. As the crisis intensifies, those who have not learned the art of interior stillness will find themselves swept away by the tides of confusion. And yet, as simple as sitting still sounds, it is only the beginning, setting the stage for something even more profound. Prayer is the bridge between the fragile self and the infinite, not the recitation of empty words, but the kind of prayer that burns from the depths of longing, that cracks the hardened layers of pride and fear, and lets the soul bleed honesty before the divine. In these days of preparation, prayer must become less about asking for blessings and more about seeking alignment. "Make me a vessel of your light" becomes the true petition. Practical examples abound: a whispered prayer while washing dishes, a silent yearning while commuting, a heartfelt plea before sleep. Saints were not born. They were formed by the habit of turning to the light in 1,000 small moments. And the more one leans into this sacred conversation, the more familiar the voice of truth becomes, preparing the spirit for choices that soon enough will no longer be theoretical, but desperately real. But prayer and meditation alone are not enough. Self-reflection carves the path forward with painful precision. Imagine carrying a lantern through a dense forest. Each step reveals new shadows, new obstacles. In the same way, honest self-examination brings into view the pride, resentment, laziness, and fear that lurk in forgotten corners. Pope Francis often warned that the greatest danger was not external enemies, but internal apathy. Keeping a daily journal, noting moments of weakness and flashes of grace, helps sharpen the senses for the battle ahead. Reflection is uncomfortable. It forces the soul to confront what it would rather ignore. Yet, every tear shed in honest repentance becomes a weapon against the gathering darkness. Those who skip this inner work risk being caught unarmed when the time of testing comes, a fate more tragic than any outward failure. Still, even this work is not meant to be endured alone. Isolation is the strategy of darkness. Community is the strategy of light. Ancient Christians facing persecution met in secret catacombs not just to survive, but to strengthen one another's courage. Today, seekers must find their own catacombs, small, intentional groups bound by a shared hunger for truth. In such circles, vulnerability becomes strength, confession becomes healing, and unity becomes a fortress. Weekly gatherings, whether around a kitchen table or through digital means, can create a rhythm of shared light that magnifies individual strength. Simple acts, reading sacred texts together, sharing struggles, praying as one voice, forge bonds that can withstand any storm. Yet, the community's power is not meant to turn inward in fear, but outward in action, creating ripples of transformation in a world teetering on the edge. Choosing light means choosing love in the face of hatred, hope in the face of despair, unity in the face of division. It means turning the other cheek when wounded, offering compassion when ridiculed, standing firm in truth when the world demands compromise. It is an act of rebellion against the entropy of the soul. Practical opportunities for love appear everywhere. Forgiving a bitter co-worker, helping a stranger without expecting gratitude, refusing to join the chorus of outrage that echoes across social media. Each act, no matter how small, echoes into eternity, marking the soul with the signature of the light. And yet, love is not passive. It is a fire that demands fuel. Without intentional nurturing, even the most sincere heart will grow cold. And so, the seekers must learn not only to love, but to burn with love, radiating light even when the world grows darker. The time ahead is not merely a trial, but a forging. The choices made now, in small and hidden places, will determine whether the soul rises like gold refined in fire or crumbles like ash in the wind. Curiously, history tells us that the greatest saints were often born not in times of peace, but in times of chaos. Proof that darkness cannot destroy those who choose to burn brighter. The coming division will not announce itself with thunder. It will unfold in the quiet decisions of ordinary days. In 1,000 invisible moments, whether to speak truth or remain silent, whether to show mercy or exact revenge, the line will be drawn, soul by soul. Already, the world shudders with the first tremors of the separation. Some feel a growing dissonance, a sense that they no longer belong to the same reality as others. Old friendships strain under the weight of unspoken differences. Familiar spaces feel increasingly foreign. It is not imagination. It is the unfolding of the inevitable. And yet, those who prepare, who train their souls in light, will not be afraid. They will stand like beacons on a stormy shore, guiding others home. The battle is not only survival, it is invitation. Every choice for light sends out a call, a rallying cry to those still lost in shadow. But to sound that call, one must first be unshakably rooted in light, and the time to prepare is now. Ahead lies the final choice, a fork in the road no one can avoid. It will not be marked by grand signs, but by the soft whisper in the heart, the quiet pull toward one way or the other. To those who have prepared, the path will shine clear, no matter how dark the night. And so, the question burns brighter with each heartbeat. When the moment comes, will you be ready to step into the light?